In this video, I'm going to show you guys how I went from using iMovie to Adobe Premiere Pro as my go-to video editor. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so just a quick disclaimer. I used to always use iMovie as my video editor because I'm not a video editor and I'm not a good video editor. And I'm still learning every single day. But I knew that I needed to adopt a different video editor other than iMovie just because it was taking so much time to do the things I wanted to do. And I knew Adobe Premiere Pro could handle all those things. I just had to learn them. So I want to share with you guys my experience, especially if you used to use iMovie and now you're trying to use Adobe Premiere Pro, or even if you're just new to using Adobe Premiere Pro. So once you first get Adobe Premiere Pro, it loads up. Click on New Project. Then it's going to ask you to name your project. So you could say Sample Project. Then you can choose where you want to save it. And you can browse here if you want to save it somewhere else. Then render, keep it as is. And display format, keep it as is. Audio samples, keep it. Everything, keep. All you have to do is choose what location you want to save it as and name your project file and hit OK. So once you click OK and it loads up, here's what your screen looks like. And to be honest, you guys, I was like,
oh, heck no.
I'm not going to figure out how to use this dang tool. It is way too confusing. So let me start off with kind of the basics as to what you guys need to know to get up and running to edit your own videos. So first, what you're going to want to do is you're going to get some media. So let's say you have a video recording. You're going to want to get that video recording. All right, so let's say you have your Finder window open and you want to add some footage. Go to wherever that footage is located. Click on that video, click and drag, hover over import media to start right here, and then drop it in. There you go. You got your footage in there. If you need to add in more footage, you can click and drag it in, or you can even right click right here and you could say import and you can add more videos that way as well. Now, let's say you have a bunch of videos. So let's say I go back here and I want to add in this video as well. And then all of a sudden it's kind of piling up and I want to put it in folders. Well, not to worry. Right down here we have this new bin, basically just a folder, you guys. So I would click on this and say raw files. Then I would click on both of these, click and drag them into that folder. And now if you have like pictures that you want to add in here and videos, you can keep it all organized in different folders. And this just works like any type of folder structure. You can click and move things in and out of it, so not to worry. But this is just a quick way of how to do it. Once you have all your media in your project, you're now ready to start editing it. So what you would want to do next is whatever is your main footage that you want your whole project to be, I recommend putting that on your timeline first. Now there's going to be a reason for that, and it's because it's going to copy all that formatting with like frames per second, sizing, all that. So make sure whatever it is you drag in, that's kind of the video format sizing and settings that you kind of want for your project. Now you can change this later on, but it gets too complicated and personally I don't even know how to do that yet. So we're going to click and drag this and then we're going to say drop media to create a sequence. Okay, so we're going to click in here. Now what it did was it created this video right here, and this is my video and then this is my audio for the video. And then this is just my timeline thing, so I can like move this back and forth. And then you can add more video. So if you want to add even more video, you can add right here. And now you have video on video line 2, video line 1, or A1, A2. These are just different tracks. These are all the video tracks up here. And then these are all the audio tracks down here. And then they just show right here for video and audio. And then if you move this around, it's going to actually get disconnected from the audio. So you need to make sure you hold down Shift and then move them around as you would please. So as you saw when I first put in that video clip, you might have noticed over here, I'm not sure if any of you guys were looking, but this new asset kind of popped up right here. This icon right here, this means sequence. Then this icon right here means video and audio. Now, if you only had music in, it would only show this green box right here. But since we have video and audio for this type of asset, that's why I chose both. And this is just a sequence. All right, so let's say you want to create another sequence. You can right click on this video right here, and then you say new sequence from clip, and now it's going to create another sequence with this footage, and now we have 2 of them. So for my situation, I never really need more than one sequence, so just focus with one sequence and one sequence only. So we're going to delete that. All right, so now we added in our footage, the 2 video files right here and the 2 audio files, and now maybe we want to add in some pictures. We're going to download this line and click and drag it in here. Sweet. And if you just click on the text right here twice, you're going to be able to edit that image text so that it just says line. All right. And then you can drag it in here. And now when you go like so, the line's going to pop up. You're like, wow, that's awesome. Another thing I want to show you guys. So we understand that this is how you add in footage. Right here, you add in all your assets, just dump all your assets over there. Do that first. And if you have more creative material coming later on in the project, feel free to add it later on, but it helps you just have it all at once, okay? Then once we have our line, our video and all that, and we dragged it in here, now we can start editing our footage. So what I recommend personally is to edit your raw footage first. Like let's say you have a tutorial style video like this. I would edit that first and then start applying all these different effects to it, because your program's going to run a lot slower if you have all these effects running on your footage right off the bat. So make sure you edit your raw footage first, clean out all your mistakes, and then you can start adding effects. So how do you actually do that? To start, you're going to make all your edits on this timeline right here to actually edit your raw footage. So we can ignore this over here. So I'm actually going to just scoot that over here, and I'm going to scoot this volume bar over like so, and then I'm going to scoot this over and this over, and then drag this up a little bit. All right, so let's get started with our first edit. So I'm actually going to get rid of this footage right here just because we don't need it, and we have this video right here. If you hold down Alt and then you use your scrolling of your mouse, you can actually zoom in and out of your clip, whether it's your video or even your audio. A mouse is going to be your best friend with this, you guys. So get a mouse if you don't already. I have a link to this mouse in my description if you are looking for a mouse. If you want to just scroll between the timeline of your footage, all you have to do is scroll, and that's going to allow you to scroll throughout the whole entire video so that you can get to a certain part. You can also click and drag this playhead right here to get to a certain point, and then once you find it, you can zoom in to get really detailed. Like let's say you want to get rid of this random gap right here. There's a bunch of tools right here on the left that you could use to clip out this little gap right here. I'm not a fan of doing that. What I actually like to do is watch this. I highlight both. I do Shift Q. It cuts it for me. And then I do Shift Q again. And then it makes a clip twice. Or even what I can do is I can do Shift Q, roll over this playhead, hit Q again. And then it cuts out that part of the video automatically for me. So all these are done through shortcuts. I actually learned how to create shortcuts through a different video, and I can show you guys more in depth on how to create them. But real quick, I'm just going to show you guys what my shortcuts are for cutting footage, because these are the main shortcuts I use. It's just Shift Q to cut, and then Q to cut anything from the playhead back, and then W will cut anything from the playhead forward. So as you can see here, like I can start cutting all this footage like extremely quickly by just having these shortcuts. Now, another thing that I saw a couple of video editors like to do is they actually will use their arrow keys on their keyboard to go back and forth on the timeline. Personally, I don't like that method because I know people are trying to avoid ever having to use their mouse. But imagine this, like you can get super detailed with it. And if you're just like clicking and holding and dragging your mouse wherever you need to go the whole time and then just hitting like keys with your left hand, that is so much faster in my opinion. I know you can also do like J, K, and L. So if you do L, it goes forward. If you go J, it goes backwards. If you go K, it pauses in place. If you hit Shift L, it will go slowly that direction right. If you hit Shift J, it will go slowly that direction left. So there's a bunch of different methods on how to edit footage. But what I would recommend is just creating those shortcuts for cutting and deleting footage quickly. I never really use these tools. The only time I ever use these tools is an important one is, let's say you need to increase the size of this a little bit. Like let's say you didn't like this cut right here, and you want to put it back to its normal size, this one right here, and then it allows you to increase the size of it again, and it's going to move all that footage on the right of it automatically to the right. All right, so that's the only time I would probably use the ripple edit tool. Let's say you're trying to put video on clip number 3, okay? You can do that, but then when I go to edit, it's not going to make any clips to this footage right here. Why is that? I wondered this for the longest time. Well, you need to have this V3 toggle selected in order to start making edits to that footage while you're making edits to the footage down below as well. Okay, so any footage you want to edit, make sure these layers are selected. If let's say you want to lock it and you don't want to mess with it, you can just lock it and then it won't get interrupted at all while you're doing certain edits. So that's another important important thing. Also, let's say you want to mute this track, so when you're playing it, you're not going to hear anything, and then you can always unmute it, or if you just want to hear just that track, okay, how did you're not going to hear this track down below. Just know that these work like layers. So if this video is on top of this footage, you're only going to see whatever the highest layer is on this structure right here. If you ever are editing and you need to see the bottom layer, you can always hit this toggle track output, and that will allow you to see the other video underneath it. And then you can toggle this back on, so then it shows you that above video. So let's say I want to add effects to my footage right here. If you go right here to this arrow right here, click that, go to effects. There's all these cool effects that you can use, but you probably are not going to know which effects are where and how to use them. So what I recommend is you want a certain effect, you can try and ask me in the comments. I can try and guide you in the right direction, but I recommend just YouTubing it or Googling like how to add color to like a certain part of me, or how to do a shaking effect, like all those different types of effects that are out there, but other people know the names of them. So in this case, I already know a couple effect names, but you can also browse through here if you know what effect you're trying to do. But I always use the search bar. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll actually like key out my green screen. Luckily, thanks to OBS, as you can see right here, my green screen is now keyed out automatically. I actually did a video on how I am doing that in this video right here. So if you haven't checked that out, make sure to check it out. It saves me a bunch of time with video editing, so I don't have to do that anymore. But I would do like an ultra key, and that basically is a green screen effect. But let's say I want to edit the color of this footage right here. All right, so if I type in Lumetri color, it's then going to pop underneath color correction, and I can click on this right here, click and drag it over whatever clip you want to add that color to. So I want to add it to this footage right here. All right, then it's going to add it there. Now you're probably gonna be like, all right, great, what the heck happened? Like, I don't see anything different. Well, now you have to go up here, and this is kind of like where you go to edit all your effects. So you find your effects right here, then you edit all your effects up here, you see what your effects look like right here, and you edit your footage down here. And this is just your volume bar. All right, so not too overwhelming. It took me a while to like understand the flow of everything, but this is kind of how it looks. Again, you don't have to add an effect to footage to see these effects. All you have to do is go to effect controls, click on the footage, and then you're going to have effects already populated for that footage. But in this case, we added lumimetry. So then this pops up right here. So then if you click on these drop down arrows, you then can add different features to your video. So you can change the temperature. You want to make it cooler or hotter. You can also change the exposure. You can do a bunch of different things. Now, let's say you're like, oh no, I don't want that effect anymore. Well, you can either hide it by clicking on this right here, or you can right click and then say clear, and that's going to get rid of the effect for that footage. Another way to color correct is if you just go here up here to color, and then you start adding different color effects right here, which is the same as that lumetri effect that you clicked and dragged on the video. It's just a nicer interface for you to kind of see things. And then you can do like creative if you want to get like super specific with something. Some people are super into color correction. And then let's say I click off of that and click on editing again, click on this footage, and then you're going to see all those effects created automatically right here. And then you can just see what they look like if you hit the drop down menu. Okay. So when it's time to color correct, switch from editing to color. I don't really click on any of these other tabs unless it's audio. Sometimes I'll click on audio if I'm trying to clean up the audio. But to be honest with you guys, I would recommend just getting like a nice mic once you can afford it, or if you can afford it already, get a nice mic, set up all the settings already pre-configured in OBS so you don't even have to edit your audio when you're editing. Now with my setup, my green screen's keyed out, audio is already pre-configured, and all I have to do is edit the raw footage, maybe add in some funny scenes, and then I'm good to go. So it's all about saving time. All right, so we understand how to now get the effects to show up right here. All you have to do is go here to editing, effects right here. And if you want to go back to your folder structure, you can go here to project, and then it's going to show up right here. Another cool thing is, let's say you're in effects and you're like, okay, that's annoying to hit that drop down arrow. You can click and drag these to order them however you would like. So you could just sift through back and forth like that, which I thought was really awesome. Next, what we can do is we can change the position of our footage. So if we want to move it left or right, we can do that. We can also scale it in and out, so we can make it super tiny and then move it over there. We could also rotate it, which is awesome. Change up the speed. Also, another cool thing that I really love, and it's not too complicated, so I want to show you guys in this video. But let's say you want this to move, like be in certain parts of the video at certain times. Let's say in the beginning, I want this footage to be like so, but then towards right here, I want it to be a lot smaller. I would click on these clocks right here, which creates a keyframe. So basically, it's going to change whatever that footage is to the new settings at this point in time. So I can decrease the scaling of it and then move this to the left right there, and then maybe make it to the top like so. And now if I put a keyframe in the beginning like so and reset it, now there's a keyframe here and here. Now watch what happens when I hit play.
Okay, how in this
Look at that. It automatically took that footage and made it go to the next scene or effect once it got to that keyframe. All right. And you can always move these keyframes, closer together if you want to have them faster or slower. And then you can also do an ease in effect. You want ease in or ease out, similar to PowerPoint. So this is just an easy way on how you can add effects to your footage. You can do this for any type of effect. Like if you want your color correction to be a certain color at a certain time, you can do that as well. Like if you want to be blue at a certain time, and then over here you want to be like orange, watch this.
Okay, how in this video
it changed color. So you can do this for any type of effect, okay? And right here it says source. So if I click on this video right here and I double click it, it's going to show you what this source video looks like right here. Honestly, I wouldn't mess around with source too much. Like I know people do in and out points and then click and drag this footage onto their timeline like so. We're going to keep it simple. I wouldn't mess around with that too much. If you want to know more about that, let me know in the comments, but we're just going to leave it as is. All right, so we have effect controls right here. We have our folder structure right here. This is how we edit the clips. We can just click and drag and then move things around if we want to shift things around. Let's say we have this random gap right here and we want everything to come back to where it was and line up right here. We can just right click and ripple delete, and that's going to shift everything back. If you do not have this magnet selected, it's then going to not clip things and adjust them kind of automatically. So if you see here when I'm moving this, it's kind of like choppy. If I got rid of this, it's going to be like more of a smoother kind of shifting and more customized. So this allows you to kind of like flip to certain parts of it so it doesn't like go over and just kind of jumps to where it needs to be. Also for audio, so let's say you want to edit your audio, you want to make it louder, you just would edit this level right here, make sure you unclick that clock, and then you can adjust the audio. You can also again use keyframing and make the audio louder or softer at certain points. You can also change like if you want to come out of the left or right ear, which is kind of cool. Another thing I want to show you guys is nesting. So let's say you have all these clips, you want to add like a simple effect to all these clips. Instead of like clicking and dragging an effect over all those clips, what you can do is you can click and highlight all of them, right click, and then do nest. And you guys, this is a lifesaver. And then you can add your effects to this group nested layer and it'll apply to all those videos inside it. So that's just a quick hack. So what I recommend is first, add in all your footage right here, all your assets, click and drag them on here. Once you have your video on here, your raw footage, edit your raw footage so that's good. Then once you're done with that, nest your raw footage so that's just one full bar. Then what you can do is you could add color correction to it. If you need to change the position of it, you can always do keying right here, and then it's going to position all that footage all together. It's just a nice and clean way and a process of how to edit your videos in Premiere Pro. All right, so once you're done with that, we're ready to export. Okay, so this is the biggest part. If you go up here to File and then you go to Export Media. All right, so once your export window pops up, it's going to look like this and you'll be like, what the heck, Tyler, where do I start? I'm going to be able to help you the best if you're trying to do a YouTube video. Okay, so follow these steps if you're trying to upload a YouTube video. If it's for something else, it still is going to work great if you're trying to do 1080p quality, 60 frames per second, or maybe even 30 frames per second in the 16:9 kind of ratio. Okay, so here what we have is this format window right here. So if you hit that, you're then going to see a bunch of different options right here. Keep it as H.264, okay? That's great quality. Then preset, match source. Perfect. All right. Then what we want to do is we're going to want to make sure that we make the name whatever we want it to be. So you click on this. It's then going to pop open your window finder. You can rename your file right here. And then you can also choose where you want to save it in your finder. And then once you're good with that, just make sure to hit save. Then what you want to do is you want to scroll down a little bit more right here. And you're going to see all this different stuff right here. Okay. This stuff can be confusing. So again, if you're not sure what to put all these settings as, what I recommend doing is just click on this drop down arrow right here, preset, rolling down to YouTube 1080p full HD, and that's going to automatically populate all the correct settings that you're going to need for this footage, which is awesome. Now, maybe you have a custom exporting setting, which I do right here, YouTube export settings. I click on that. Now it makes all these settings for me. So I'm going to show you guys what I have as my custom YouTube export settings. And again, if you want to have a new export settings, all you have to do is save preset once you have all the settings configured, or you could even say import preset if you have a different preset, if you're a pro and you're trying to import from a different computer or something. All right, so in this case, we have this preset right here. And what I did for my video is H.264 format preset is my name of my preset. Width is 1920 by 1080 right here. And then frame rate I have is 30. And then aspect is square pixels 1.0. Then what we have for encoding settings, I have hardware encoding. So this is huge, you guys. If you do have hardware encoding as a possibility, please do it. Okay, it's going to save you guys so much time. I think I had software encoding before, and it took so much more time to export my footage. So look up on YouTube how to enable hardware encoding in Premiere Pro. There's a bunch of videos on it, and if you don't have access to it, I would make sure to have hardware encoding. Profile high, level 4.2. Then let's scroll down a little bit more, and now we have bitrate settings. So I have a VBR2 pass. All right, so there's a VBR1 pass and a VBR2 pass. And then target bitrate, I just have it at 16. You can put it at like 20. The higher you go, the longer the export's going to take. 16. My videos still come out in HD and 1080p, so I would keep it at 16. Can't go wrong with that. And then once you're all done, you can either queue it into Adobe Encoder if you have that application, or you could just export it in Premiere Pro. Honestly, I would try to export anything kind of later at night. You're not needing your computer, especially if it's like a really high quality 4K video, then you're really going to need some time. But for this, it's just 1080p, so it just takes like 30 minutes or so to export. And so I would just hit export right here. And then what's going to happen is it's going to have this loading bar, and it does pass 1 of 2, and then it's going to do a pass 2 of 2. And then once this is all done complete, you can look for this video in wherever folder you said to save it in, and you're good to go once this is all done and this bar fills up. So that is kind of a walkthrough of how to use Adobe Premiere Pro, especially if you're kind of new to it like I was, and I still am. I'm still trying to learn how to use it, to be honest. I hope you guys did find this video helpful. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and if you could subscribe, I would greatly appreciate the support. Most of you guys watching are not subscribed, so please hit that subscribe button down below. It's free to do. Also, if you are interested in learning more things about PowerPoint, even though I know this is Adobe Premiere Pro tutorial, I do have a course on Udemy, so I have a link to that in the description below. But without further ado, I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day, and I hope to see you guys in future videos. Thanks.